Hello everyone, and welcome to this corner of new Eridu. Recently, while playing Zenla Zone Zero, it dawned on me that I was completely unprepared for facing enemies weak to fire. Usually in that case, I would bring Jane carry team, and let Lucy handle the fire weakness part. But for the last couple Deadly Assault resets, that strategy netted me only 8 stars. And I should have been satisfied with it. I still got all the polychromes, but I happen to be an overachiever. And if there is an extra star to get, I want it. So it was time to get myself a fire team. Out of all my own characters, I've chosen a mono fire team. Soldier 11, no Mindscapes, no signature, Kaleda and Lucy. That being said, with Evelyn's banner going on, endgame modes such as Shiyu Defense and Deadly Assault have gotten the buffs to the fire damage. So at the time I started this journey, the task seemed very manageable, despite my lack of limited fire characters or even limited general supports. To begin with, I brought Soldier 11 and Kaleda to level 55 and 50 respectively, and gave them possible gear. Lucy at this point was sitting comfortably at level 50 with a swing just set. Like with any challenging task, I started on Monday, and after short practice in VR mode to get the rotations down, I brought this team to Lost Void, just to test out the waters. With typical Lost Void buffs, the team performed fine, but I definitely felt less comfortable compared to my main teams. Still, the small success inspired me to just dive straight into the new Shiyu Defense reset. And that's where the trouble began. First of all, did I just miss an entire ultimate on Stun Fulcrum? And there is still a whole wave of enemies left? If that's how the Frontier 5 went, you can imagine what happened on Frontier 7. At this point the upgrades looked obvious, so I got Soldier 11 to level 60, raised her core to level F, and upgraded her skills, namely Basic Attack, X Special and Ultimate up to level 11. No pun intended. After that, I returned back to the Frontier 7 with high hopes, and it still took me 3 minutes to clear the fire weak side. Not that I needed less, after all the other side had Miyabi, but still, that result was baffling to me and what's more important, unacceptable. So I invested into the team even more. I have chosen a triple pair of discs for Soldier 11. In pure stats, it was a better choice, since it's easier to obtain 3 pairs of good rolls compared to a whole set. Additionally, I ended up spending 3 hamster cages to maximize her damage output. In order to stun an enemy faster, I have raised Kaleda to level 60 and upgraded her basics and X special. After that, I tried different strategies to group small enemies in the beginning of the fight until I found one that was consistent. Using Lucy's Hold X special allowed me to quick assist into Soldier 11 from a more favorable position and successfully group the serials. All these manipulations finally brought me to 28 on the first half of the Frontier 7. And just like that, the Shiyu Defense was defended at the appropriate time. Then I waited around for the Deadly Assault, thinking that it would be just as manageable. Well, let's just say Pompey completely wrecked the stage, and left me wondering if 3-starring him with this team was even possible. But Mama didn't raise a quitter. So after some very helpful discussions on Reddit, it became clear that it was time to let go of the training wheels. You see, the way this particular version of Pompey works is by giving 200 points each time you dodge, meaning that using defensive assist was putting me at quite a disadvantage. Not only that, but the further hiccup of a stun-reliant team is that while not stunned, Pompey gives a buff up to 75% crit damage to the attacking agent. He also himself hits harder, but since every dodge is rewarded with extra points, you should avoid getting hit anyway. So to sum it up, you want him stunned as low number of times as possible, and you want to dodge most of his attacks. After putting Kaleda out of the team, I went to practice my fire suppressions. Yes, up to this point I have entirely ignored the Soldier 11 mechanic, relying only on doing damage during the stun windows. In the beginning I struggled with it quite badly, so I turned off the music in game to be able to rely on sound cues to hit correct timings. Have you tried this game without the music? It has kind of an eerie feel. Lastly, I went back to the mines to fix temporary solutions from the previous step. I've upgraded Soldier 11's dodge skill to level 12 and farmed an Inferno metal disc set that allowed me to switch her back to a Starlight engine, which ended up pushing her attack into 3000s. Since Lucy is the only other character in the team, I've maxed her skills and the core to maximize the damage of her piggies. Swing Just Set bonus became incompatible with the strategy to play without stunning Pompeii, so I've rebuilt Lucy with an Astral Voice set, as having an 8% damage boost consistently and up to 24% occasionally was better than having a 15% boost, which I wouldn't get often. Finally, I started hitting up to 19,000 points, only to be reminded that Pompeii has a really long attack sequence, during which he is entirely invulnerable. So I played around it by delaying the second stun even further, by carefully considering the timing for each Lucy's X special to minimize days dealt to the boss. Some of my seemingly successful runs got ruined by the fact that Outer Ring desperately needs an ophthalmologist. And so, after many broken backs and very tired fingers, but pretty consistent fire suppression, if I'm allowed to compliment myself here, I present you with a 3-star Pompeii run. If you want to see this madness in full glory, I will link the video in the description and include it in the top corner. While I was working on this video, Shiyu Defense and Deadly Assault have gotten their resets. Defensive Assist Focus Pompeii allowed me to bring back Coletta to the team and 3-star the boss first try, for the second time covering my blind spot of fire-weak enemies. Since Soldier 11 team has shown a respectable performance in both modes, I can conclude that my original goal of having a good fire team was achieved. After all that experience, I think I've learned some good lessons. If you're struggling with a particular mode, it might be helpful to update the builds of the characters to take advantage of said mod buffs. In my case, extra crit damage on Pompeii allowed me to redistribute Soldier 11 stats into attack, netting a higher damage output overall. Another observation is that leaving a whole character out of the team might actually improve your clear times. Painful but obvious advice: don't neglect characters' mechanics. In the end, I was surprised at how fire suppressions became second nature, and how fast I picked back up if the timing got broken. The last lesson of this journey is to pull for limited characters. With them, it probably would have been so much easier, even if you've just gotten one of the limited supports. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that my struggles of clearing endgame content with a standard DPS character made for an enjoyable story. I'll leave you with a question. Have you found yourself missing a team for a specific weakness? If so, how you chose to handle it? Please write your answer down in the comments, hit a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!